So what is a web server? Well, fundamentally, a web server is just a computer. It's a slightly different computer in the sense it's designed to do one thing and one thing only. That's deliver internet web pages. Now, that can be in two ways. One, across the internet, or two, inside your company network. Inside your company network, it's normally called an intranet. When it's outside your company network, it's normally called the internet. So basically and fundamentally, a web server is a simple computer. Now, what it does, for example, is when you're somewhere in the world and you request a web page, the internet infrastructure sends a request to that computer, that server. And that server will then find the information off its hard drives and then deliver it through the internet infrastructure back to your browser to display the information. And that's how it works. Now, web servers are a little bit different to normal computers in the sense that they usually have bigger fans because they're running 24/7, so they need to be kept cooler. They'll often be kept in air-conditioned boxes, and they'll often have very big hard drives because they need to store a lot of data. But they don't tend to have a very large capacity CPU, which is the central processor, but they do tend to have a reasonable amount of memory. So they're a different structure, but fundamentally they're like a normal computer. So that's what a web server is. In order for your web server to function properly, it actually needs software. Now, that software basically allows everything to run properly. Now, usually web servers fall into two categories, and that's a Microsoft and an open source. So Unix is the open source, and also Linux is part of that. So Unix and Linux sort of go together. Unix is the old historical one, but now most server software is run on Linux, which is just a version, an upgrade of Unix. The other version is Windows. So basically, they're the two main different types of web server software that run on a web server. There are many other different ones. You have also something called Apache. Apache is basically a version of Linux, so it's all part of that clump. So you've got Apache, Linux, Unix. It's all sort of clumped together as one. They're very, very similar and all based on the same foundation. Where Windows is distinctly different and is created by Microsoft. Windows you have to pay for. Linux, Unix, and Apache are all free or open source. So Apache and Linux and Unix run PHP mainly, which is the server software that runs on there, where Windows runs ASP and ASPX. So we've introduced some new terms there. We can talk a bit more about those at a later date, but that gives you the understanding about the two main types of server software, so you can distinguish what they are when you come across them in the future.